What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and things seem to be moving here at Tottenham Hotspur. 13th of January, 2 here we goes already. 13 days into the transfer window. Obviously, Brennan Johnson has gone as well. So we've got an action-packed stream for you guys going through Tottenham transfer news, stories, and also we've got a very special guest to bring on very, very soon regarding the protests this weekend against West Ham. So we're going to take a deep dive into that as well. But yeah, me and Sim, we were out last night doing karaoke with everyone involved in the channel and our sister channels and everything like that. We're on a belated Christmas do, and we got the news. Yeah, we got the news of Conor Gallagher here. It kind of like it just went so quickly, didn't it? Because we did that update earlier in the day, being like Villa are front runners to go get Conor Gallagher, and suddenly we look at our phones. Here we go.
We arrive at karaoke. We get the latest update when we arrived at karaoke. We literally, as we're walking in the karaoke booth, is Gallagher's going to choose Villa over Spurs, even though Spurs are coming back in for him. And by the end of the session, we had the here we go. We just couldn't believe what was going on. Yeah. We're like, oh god, we're going to have to do a video. Let's just get a drink first. And it was it absolutely escalated crazily. Yeah, what a shock to the system that was, but incredible for in terms of how that escalated. There's been a lot of discourse online about the signing, which we'll go into. I think there's a lot of pros and cons you have to say to this transfer, but I think for me, just on a baseline, I'm pretty happy to get him in.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think it's majority positive, getting someone like Conor Gallagher, and I think what it does is it just raises the level of our midfield, in my opinion. And look, we can all talk about here profiles this, profiles that, and obviously we want a high volume pass to someone that can dictate the tempo of play and really progress us up the pitch. However, Conor Gallagher is an upgrade on what we've got. So if you upgrade on what you got, I don't think you can complain too much.
Yeah, I think so as well. But it's a trap we always fall into, isn't it?
What, upgrading?
No, just signing players that aren't exactly what we need and get someone happy, and then by the end of in a 6 months time, we'll be like, well, we still need that player, and it's happened so many times.
It's true. But look, let's start off with a Tottenham update. And first up, we're going to talk about Fabio Paratici, as The Athletic have done an article on him over the last few hours. And they say that Fabio Paratici's first official spell lasted just under 2 years. His second will last just over 3 months. If Paratici hoped he would have total autonomy and control, that was never on offer. He did not think that Thomas Frank was the right fit, but the position of the hierarchy supporting Frank has been very clear in recent weeks. If Paratici thought he was getting total control, he should have known what he was walking into with the new structure. So that doesn't sound great, does it? Paratici's walked in. He never wanted Frank in the first place, appointed him anyway, and here we are.
Did Fabio appoint him? Well, not officially, I guess.
No. Fabio didn't appoint him himself. Obviously, it's a committee, and we know that he was an advisor.
Yeah, he was consultant.
He was an advisor of that committee.
But it's, how many times has Frank banged on? We're in total alignment. I'm in alignment with the hierarchy. There's all the people between him and the people at the top level, that everyone's on the same page. Well, clearly not, because Fabio didn't want him. This thing's a whole mess. Did Fabio not know the parameters of his job and exactly what he's going to be dealing with?
Doesn't seem like it.
Because he's joined, and now all of a sudden he's saying, "Oh, I thought I'd have more control." Well, was that not laid out to you before you signed on and agreed to be our long-term sporting director? The whole thing seems to be an absolute mess at the top, and now we're trusting in Vinay and Lang with Fabio leaving. Their knowledge and whatever is up for question, I think. When it comes to Vinay, obviously, look, he did a good job at Arsenal, but he backed his guy through thick and thin. And whether it's the right thing to do with Thomas Frank is very much up for debate. And also, there's a lot of people at Arsenal, if you talk to Arsenal fans, who were fairly happy to see him go, to be honest, when he did. Lang, there's a lot of question marks about him. Villa seem to be flying at the moment. When he was there, it wasn't exactly the case. So there's a lot of question marks about Johan Lang and whether he's the right guy to head any future. As well, Lang already had that role when Fabio wasn't here, we've now scaled back what he was doing because I don't know whether we were not happy enough with his job and we felt like we needed Fabio to come in and do exactly what we needed, and Lang's roles changed to dealing with younger players. And now Fabio's going, so Lang is now back in that role for the time being, unless we find a replacement, doing a job that we weren't happy with him doing.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is a mess at the moment. It's complete. It seems like chaos up there.
Absolutely, it really does. And in terms of the Fabio thing and him not wanting Frank, maybe they also looked at it being like, well, you made a bit of a pig's ear out of the last few managerial appointments that you made, and maybe they had no trust in his kind of opinions on who the manager should be.
What's the point in being here then?
Yeah,
if that's the case.
Well, the point of him being might have been player related. I
get that, but he's our sporting director. Who's making the decision? If his opinion doesn't hold any value. Look, for me, I completely get that managerial-wise, the last managerial search before Nuno, when he was heading that, was an absolute disaster. No getting two ways about it. And we ended up with Nuno, which was a disaster in itself, and we ended up ending that after a couple of months, and we ended up getting Conte, which obviously was a good appointment at the time then, but I definitely get why there's reservations about, from a fan's perspective anyway, look from the outside looking in, about who Fabio wants as manager, because he wanted Gattuso as well. We nearly got Fonseca, and then Fonseca, I think, was one who pulled out, whatever, that fell through at the time. So I think there's rumours that he wanted Igor Tudor to come in. Whether he's the right guy for us, I don't really know his history, but I know he had a very short stint at Juve, didn't go quite.
I think the Igor Tudor thing was an interim role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whether he wanted him as an interim to replace Frank, and whether that's a good appointment for Tottenham, I don't know. But the fact that we have a sporting director in charge of our football club who doesn't want the current manager in charge is a horrible, horrible look, and it's not good for anyone. And as well, it completely makes Frank look like a laughingstock when he's basically saying in every press conference we have total alignment, when that's completely not true. And now we're seeing that being reported, and now Fabio's leaving. So where is this total alignment that you keep
I tell you what, there probably is perfect alignment now that Fabio's gone.
Now that Fabio, maybe that's, to be fair, in the past couple of the last press conference, he did leave out Fabio's name.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
I didn't notice
when he said we've got alignment with Johan and Vinay and myself, and so maybe that was purposeful. Maybe that, that's why. Obviously, whenever he's brought up Fabio, he keeps saying, I talk to him regularly, blah blah blah. We talk about transfers. But yeah, I think it makes those statements look a laughingstock. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe that's brought up to him in a press conference and he gets asked about that. And what kind of answer does he give when? Imagine you're a journalist. You're asking Frank. Well, Fabio reportedly didn't want you, and you were saying there's total alignment. What do you have to say about that? What is his response to that? He can't really say anything.
Well, what's he going to say? He's going to say, "Oh, there are rumours flying around the press all the time. I don't really take too much notice of them." That's what he'll say.
That's all he can say. But it's a horrible question to be put at you, basically saying that one of the people above you who you need to trust.
And he'll go on after that, and he'll repeat his words, won't he? He'll repeat and say, "Well, me, Johan, and Vinay were in total alignment."
Yeah,
that's what he will say.
But thinking about the club as a whole, I think fans are very right to be skeptical about Johan, Vinay, and now Frank heading up our footballing department, and them being given the keys to what our future. I think there's a lot of reasons to be sceptical about that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the club looks a complete mess, top to bottom. And that's been highlighted even more now with this article on Fabio, and also Fabio leaving to go to Fiorentina.
And he's found a bird. Exactly. I think
that's just a big excuse. It's such bollocks.
Maybe it's just about he's easily had his head turned to the fact he doesn't want Frank. Absolutely brilliant stuff there. But yeah, look.
Only at Tottenham this stuff comes out. No other club, man. I'm telling you, this is absolute madness.
But as well, it just goes to show about Frank's job, in a sense, as much as he's safe now, when you've already got one guy who doesn't believe he should be there. That's gonna that means that doubt is gonna seep into the other guys very quickly if it isn't already. Which I assume there probably is some doubt already. I would assume, although we haven't heard it. But
yeah, reports suggest that the boardroom is split on Thomas Frank. I don't know how true they are or not true, but that's what
Fabio
rumours are saying. That? Probably, yeah. But a split suggests to me more than just one person.
Yeah. So, doesn't look good for him, I would say.
Look, we'll have to see how it progresses, but it looks as though the key decision makers, who are Lang and Vinay, are the ones that want to stick behind him. So it looks as though they are going to back their man.
But from your point of view, if Fabio was saying get rid of him, and that's part of the reason why he left, and now he's leaving and we're relying on Vinay and Lang, like most fans would have said, I'd rather Fabio stayed than the other two left.
I probably would agree with that, to be honest. I think that Fabio is obviously a football man, all the contacts he has in the game. I was excited about the prospect of him coming back and really, becoming a bigger decision maker at the club. Obviously, that wasn't the case, and he wasn't given the control which maybe some suggested or thought he was going to get. And Thomas Frank has done nothing to suggest to me that he's the long-term answer for this football club. So I would have preferred it. If I had to pick a side, I'm picking Paratici's side, yeah.
Although I would say about Fabio, he does seem absolutely obsessed with Serie A. That's like where his main knowledge comes from. Like, I would like to see him expand to other leagues. But anyway, look, he's gone. He's gone anyway. It doesn't really matter.
And Lang is obsessed with 19-year-olds.
Yeah, absolutely. has to be a teenager, otherwise they're not coming.
Yeah. But look, let's move on and let's talk about Rodrigo Bentancur. We know that he's going to be out for at least 3 months. The club have officially confirmed now that he has undergone surgery on his right hamstring, and they've basically confirmed the surgery, so he's going to be out for a while. Yeah,
which is a massive blow for him. I feel for him so much, like on a personal level, just because of the injury problems we know he's had. Every season, he's had that ACL. He comes back. The first game he's ruled out for, I think it was like 2 to 3 months with a bad challenge from Matt Cash. He then comes back again. This next season, I think on day one, he had the concussion, didn't he, against Leicester? That ruled him out for a few weeks. And then he comes back, he gets banned for 7 games because of stupid remarks, horrible remarks he made in an interview, like in Uruguay. He then comes back from that. Then I believe he then had another concussion against Liverpool. And then he came back, and now he's got this big 3-month injury again in the following season with his hamstring. The guy can't catch a break. I really feel for him. Not to say that he's been perfect or he's been amazing this season or since he's come back from his ACL. I think we can all agree he hasn't reached the heights, unfortunately, that he had pre-ACL, which has been hard to watch in itself. There have been some good signs this season, but also just some horrible inconsistency. So that's been frustrating. But I feel for him. I really obviously hope he has a speedy recovery. Obviously, we made the decision to sign him up to a new contract, and people have been questioning that decision even before this injury. I wonder in the summer if he does come back this season, do we look to cash in on him? Now with Gallagher coming in, that's a good replacement for him, I would say. So I think that probably does make sense if we do get a good offer for Rodrigo. But we'll probably have, at this point, going to have to take a cut price fee, I would say.
Yeah, but look, it is what it is. At the end of the day, we didn't sign him for too much, so I still think we can probably break even or make profit on him. We signed him for like 15 million, that time under that January under Conte. So I still think we can get like 20, 25 million for him.
Yeah.
A team in Italy maybe or somewhere else. But look, the reality is with Rodrigo Bentancur, I think we all know when he's at his best, he's an unbelievable football player. But he's just way too inconsistent, and we just can't get him. It's always one game up, one game down with Bentancur, and ever since his injury, we've seen flashes, but never seen him consistently back to his best. So, in my opinion, I think it's probably best to cut our losses this summer and just focus on other players, and bringing Bergvall, Gray through, got Conor Gallagher now, and prioritise that that 6 that can really progress the ball up the pitch and dictate the tempo of play. So I think it'll be a positive for us in the end, in my opinion. Next up, let's talk about Will Lancashire, as Ali Gold has been reporting that Spurs have knocked back a couple of bids so far this month for Will Lancashire, as they are happy with his season and he's taken a big leap in his development at Oxford United. Obviously playing with Jamie Donnelly now, trying to rekindle that relationship that they had for the Spurs under-21s. Unfortunately, Jamie Donnelly got injured 15 minutes into his Oxford debut last week in the Cup.
Any news about how bad that is?
No, I haven't heard any reports on it as of yet. But I'm sure that will come out soon. But in terms of Will Lancashire, doing very well for Oxford, banging in the goal, scored again in the FA Cup on the weekend. So I guess that's the right thing, I think, for Spurs to do, just to let him continue that development that he's doing so well so far this season.
Yeah, and he's scoring regularly. How many goals he got? 7?
7 or 8 in all comps, yeah.
Yeah, he just scored in the FA Cup as well in the last round, in the game they won on penalties. So he's becoming a bit of a fan favourite, it seems. And I think at his age, scoring goals regularly in the Championship, getting that amount of goals in the first half of the season is easier said than done. And that goes to show a young striker really developing, and also this is Oxford side aren't exactly top of the tree, are they? They're a struggling side of the
relegation,
yeah. So to be scoring goals regularly, even if it's strikers' goals, that's really good, and I think that shows physically he's up for it. He can play at that level. The big fear I think with a lot of players making that leap from academy to proper men's football, especially the Championship, is physically, are they really ready? Because the academy is just a different level physically. That's the biggest jump. I think when it comes to technically and all this kind of other stuff, the gap isn't that big, but when it comes to physically, that's where the main jump is. And the fact that he's able to be competing regularly at that level, scoring goals, is a massive positive. Obviously, it didn't work out for him last year at West Brom, albeit I know some West Brom fans actually quite liked him, but he didn't get a goal, did he? He didn't. I don't think. Maybe he didn't.
He didn't play that much.
Didn't play that much. So I remember some West Brom fans were happy with some cameos he made, but he obviously wasn't getting on the pitch enough.
I think that kind of reaction from Will Lancashire from the West Brom fans came after like the first 2 games he played, and then he was just in and out of the team. Didn't really play too much.
Yeah.
After that.
So the fact that he's responded from that, didn't move down a level, decided to stay in the Championship, and now he's getting fairly frequent goals is really a massive positive. And I think if he carries on, if he can get double digits, get into that 15 goal mark, then maybe there's a chance he could come back into the first team potentially even. But I would say I'll try and hit some targets, just have a good end to the season. I think it's working. There's no need to change it for him.
Yeah, I agree. And we've recalled so many players from loans so far this January, and we've got to realise that when something's working, just let it keep working. And I think they've done that. So credit to them.
Just a quick one on Donnelly. The manager said it looks nasty, and he's got a shoulder injury.
Oh, God.
So let's just hope it's not a bad one. I can see he got stretchered off as well. So let's hope doesn't rule him out for too long, but it's not great on his after 15 minutes. Yeah.
Let's talk about Matthys Tel now. We know there's constant rumours about Matty about potentially going out on loan in this January. Florian Plettenberg says that Paris FC are working on a loan move for Tel. Their main selling point is offering him a preferred position as a striker. The core of his frustration is not only his lack of playing time, but above all the fact that he's rarely used as a number 9. Tottenham are still blocking every inquiry for now, as they want to keep Tel at the club. I mean, I don't really get that. I mean, I know we heard before he joined Tottenham that his favoured position is number 9, and that's where he sees himself. But for me, whenever I see him play, he looks a lot better out on the left-hand side, and that's his position. And I don't think he's a number 9.
He has been playing majority in the 9 as well. I don't really understand that complaint. Last season, the majority of when we saw him was in the 9 because we had those injuries up front, and when he first came, he was pretty much just playing up front, albeit in a mishmash team, very tired, struggling with fatigue, whatever. I think near the end of the season, we saw him a bit on the left. This season, again, the first time when he first came into the team, he was up front. I remember that Leeds game, played up front. At Villa at home, I think he played up front. When he came against Man United, he played up front. So up until the last 3 games, I think the last 3 games is the first we've seen him on the left, pretty much this season. So I don't really understand that complaint from him.
But I think when you're looking at the kind of makeup of the squad, his natural fit is on the left-hand side, and that's probably what he's looking at.
Yeah, which is true.
We've got strikers. We've got obviously Richarlison's injured, but he's been there all season. We've got Solanke coming back now. We've got Kolo Muani. So when you're looking at Tel and when he's looking at the squad, he sees that, well, the only real minutes I'm going to get is probably off the left now. That
is true. So when he's looking at that situation, if he's thinking, I want more minutes up front, I don't think you're going to be getting at.
But I think it's right not to give him minutes up front. He looks so much more dangerous on the left-hand side.
For me, his 3 best performances in a Spurs shirt have been these run of games when he's been regularly played on the left. So I don't really understand why he would be unhappy with that and what is the problem there, because I think he's playing well. He's looking a lot better on the left when he's got more space than he was up front. He seems to struggle up front, like physically a bit, I think, when it comes to holding the ball up, when he's got big, strong centre-backs, trying to win the ball off him from behind, and he's got to protect the ball. it's difficult for him, it seems, to really hold on to the ball in a lot of those situations. I think when he's up against fullbacks and he's got space on out wide, he seems a lot more comfortable there, and when he's running at players as well. So that's a bit peculiar to me. I really hope that isn't true. But anyway, regardless of that, I just don't think we can let him go, regardless. And as long as he's happy to play out wide for now, I think we got to keep him.
Yeah, and I don't see why he wouldn't be happy to play out wide. He's a young player in development mode. Obviously, he thinks himself a number 9, but he does hold a lot of value on the left. So once you're a player developing, no matter where you see yourself in the future, surely you just grab any kind of minutes possible, no matter where they are.
I think down the line, he could be a 9, like maybe when he gets into his mid-20s and he's a bit more, physically robust and he's got that hold-up play about him. But I actually think he could be a good 9. But right now, I just don't think he's at the level yet to be a good 9. I think he's much more comfortable out wide.
Yeah, the other players that we have in the number 9 are far ahead of him, in my opinion. And when you're looking at the left-hand side, he's probably one of the better ones that we've got. So that's where he's showing value to the team right now. And I think he should stick with it, because I think he's onto a good thing right now, and he should just keep riding that wave of momentum.
And also, from his point of view, if he's really thinking about that World Cup squad, if he's playing regularly left wing for us, surely he's going to be, and he's playing well, that's going to stand him in higher stead than playing up front for Paris FC, I would say. Depending on how well he does, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes to Paris and plays in the number 9 from now to the end of the season, hits 10 goals or something, he might come into the reckoning. But look, I think this whole World Cup talk is so fanciful about Matthys Tel. Look at the quality that they've got in that squad. Barring a crazy injury crisis, he ain't getting in that World Cup squad, however he plays, in my opinion.
Oh, unless he completely smashes it.
Yeah, if you're talking world-class level form, fine. But this guy is a young player coming through. Look at the players he has ahead of him. It's just crazy.
It's a tough ask.
All right.
Zaha after Mateta for saying he can get in the
squad. 3 years before he got into it. Let's talk about Magnus Akalush, because Alistair Gold says that Tottenham have held a long-time interest in Monaco attacker Magnus Akalush. It is understood that Monaco are now looking for players in his position in case he does depart anywhere in this month or in the summer. That's quite interesting. I think that when you're looking at Akalush, I think in the long term, I don't think it makes much sense because of the players that we have, obviously the injured players. But in the short term, I think he'll be unbelievable. Look, I think he'll be unbelievable for us in the long term as well. But then, obviously, other players come into question. But right now, we kind of do need him. Yeah,
obviously with the Kudos situation, Johnson leaving, Decky doesn't look like he's close to coming back at the moment. We could definitely do with Magnus Akalush at this football club, and he would obviously come straight into the team, and he's a very good player. Again, I agree. I think over the long term, we have Kudos, we have Decky, and they're very similar in a sense to what Akalush brings, especially Decky. Very similar to the quality of Akalush and the type of player he is. Albeit, I think Akalush is a bit more nimble, and he's a bit more of a playmaker, whereas Decky's more of a battering ram, isn't he? He's a bit more physical, and he's more of a runner rather than Akalush. He's a bit more of a tiki-taka kind of player. But in terms of the role they'll play in the squad, it's fairly similar. So in a way, it's fairly similar to Gallagher in terms of the profile. Is it exactly what we need? Maybe not. Does it raise the quality of the squad? And is he a player that comes in immediately and becomes our best right winger? Yeah, probably right now. So from that point of view, I'm not going to say no to Akalush. And I think he's a brilliant player. And the fact of the matter is, we do need a right winger right now. So who am I to say no to Akalush? But again, is it the perfect kind of signing? If you're in a dream world and you're like, this is the kind of player we need right now, would it be Akalush? Probably not. But I'm not going to say no to him, that's for sure.
I'm not as well. But again, when are we going to start talking about and thinking about the squad and getting the profiles that we need?
Yeah, we don't do that, Tottenham.
It's crazy, isn't it? Squad building at this football club just seems to be so wrong. So wrong. But look, again, like you mentioned, absolutely spot on in terms of raising the quality of the squad. All right. Next up, we are going to talk about Conor Gallagher. as Ornstein says that Conor Gallagher is expected to fly to England today to undergo a medical, finalise details for a long-term contract at Tottenham, which is believed to be 5.5-year contract at Tottenham. Matt Law says that Frank made a personal call to Conor Gallagher to convince the midfielder to join Tottenham and not hold out a move for Aston Villa. Frank helped clinch the deal for Tottenham by speaking to Gallagher personally and convincing him the move was right, despite this team's struggles this season. And Matt Law also went on to say that Conor Gallagher's representatives are believed to have spoken to former Spurs coach Ange Postecoglou as many as 8 occasions, but Daniel Levy wasn't keen to push the transfer through. So look, I know we've been chasing Gallagher for some time now. It looks as though we finally got our man.
The Daily Gallagher.
But
for a long time.
Seems like it's going to come to an end soon, but the Thomas Frank pull.
The Thomas Frank pull. One call from Frank and he was on the plane.
It feels like we see this about every single player we sign, no matter who our manager is.
I think the extra 10 million, I think, probably was enough pull, I would say, that we bid, to be honest. Look, I think every player probably chats to the manager before they sign. I don't think it's like a surprise, to be honest. Just like when Ange would chat to players, as much as we make a whole thing about the Ange pull, every player probably chats to the manager beforehand. I think the main thing is we put in a permanent bid of exceeding what Villa, I think, what Villa's obligation to buy was. So I think Atletico turned down their bid, accepted ours, and told Gallagher, obviously, basically it's Tottenham or nothing. We got ahead of the competition in that way. I don't think it's a case of we convinced him to come here over Villa. I think it's just a case of we had a better bid.
I thought yesterday the reports were that Aston Villa and Atletico had a club-to-club agreement.
Yeah, until we came in.
And then they rejected their agreement.
I'm assuming that's what I think so. That's what I assume happened, because they would have wanted a permanent bid. Villa only offered a loan with an option to buy, I believe, or maybe an obligation. But I think that obligation to buy was a lot less than what we were prepared to pay. So I think when we came in with here's a permanent transfer, money on the table, more than what Villa are willing to offer, Atletico probably said, all right, unless Villa can match our offer, we're going to accept your offer. That's what I think happened. In my opinion. This is what me reading into the situation. But I don't know the exact facts, but I think that's probably what happened. I don't think it's a case of they accepted both and Gallagher chose. I don't think that's what happened. I think they probably rejected Villa's bid at that point and said, you're going to Spurs, essentially, unless you reject them, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we haven't heard anything to that kind of...
That's what makes sense to me. That's what makes sense to me.
Yeah, it might do, but there also could be a case of Spurs were offering more money. He wanted to move back down to London, or back to London. There could have been so many different factors going into it, but we never heard at all that Villa's bid got rejected or anything like that. We have
heard that we've bid more, so that would mean that's a better offer.
Yeah, but we never heard that Villa's bid got rejected.
Why bid more if it's not? Why not just match Villa's bid then?
Well, what was Villa's bid?
It was a loan with an option to buy, I believe.
What was the option?
I don't know. I think less than what we're paying.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah,
I'm not so sure about that.
Sure about that.
But anyway, the reality is he's coming, it looks like, although we have seen Here We Goes before and not got them over the line. But the medical seems to be today. I imagine if it all goes smoothly, then an announcement at some point this week.
I've definitely read we've bid 10 million more than what Villa have.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that.
Anyway, yeah, so the medical happening today. We know he's a very physically robust player. Belly gets injured, so I'm assuming the medical will go swimmingly, albeit we are cursed with players with great injury records coming to Tottenham and that changing. So I think when it comes to this, I'm happy with the deal. I think it's a good signing. I'm happy to add him to our midfield. I think we definitely need an upgrade, especially with Bentancur injury. I think that's obviously sparked us into signing this kind of midfielder. Not just the number 6 deep line, which we definitely need, but we also need this kind of midfielder now as well, because with this long-term Bentancur injury. So it's no surprise. Is it a panic buy, would you say? But
yeah, maybe. For sure. 100%.
It is a long-term target on the flip side as well.
It's a long-term target, yes, but it's definitely a panic buy. 100% a panic buy. I don't think we go in for him unless Bentancur gets injured.
Yeah, that's probably true as well. So I understand that. But I think maybe we did need to panic a bit, given our situation.
We needed to bring in a midfielder, 100%. And I think he raises the level of the squad. I'm happy with the signing. Does it Does it fix a lot of our problems that we've been complaining about this season? Probably not. But I think he's a player that comes in and he's one of the better midfielders, if not the best midfielder.
As you say, when he was at Chelsea under Poch, much sought after, obviously Atletico came in for him for a reason. He was he was really good. Although there was a big debate even when he was at Chelsea. What is his best position? Because he was played in the 10, he was played in the 8, even played in the 6 sometimes.
I think his best position's an 8.
That's what it was to tell me. That's what I read.
He's a box-to-box player, in my opinion.
That's what I think. But he was sometimes played like a high-pressing number 10 position, which I can see definitely Frank doing that with him sometimes if need be, because I think Frank would love him in that position. Someone in the 10 who's really aggressive and non-stop running and can cover the pitch. I think Frank would love that as well. Would that force Xavi out wide again? If he were to do that, that's something to consider. I do think technically he's better than Sarr, he's better than Bentancur. Physically he's probably better than Bergvall from that point of view. So I think he has there's a lot of things he has over our current set of midfielders, and he's kind of like a jack of all trades. I would say he had, apart from his stamina and his aggression, does he have an elite quality outside of that? I'm not 100% sure. He's kind of like good at a lot of things, but not very good at anything. And I think that's maybe why hasn't quite worked at Atletico, because when you look at their midfielders, they're super, a lot of them are super aggressive, but they're also very technical as well. So when you're looking, when it comes to Gallagher, is he at the technical level of some of these Atletico midfielders? Maybe not, which is maybe why he hasn't quite worked there. But when he was at Chelsea, I think it maybe was a young side. Obviously, Poch is known for his pressing game, and Gallagher kind of fitted into that because he is such a good presser. He's one of probably the best pressers there is in the league, and that was something that that was really appreciated. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he fits into this Tottenham side. I think logically, under Frank, should it work? Yes, I think, because he has a physical profile to work under it. And should it work, should we replace Frank? Yes, depending on who the manager is. If we're looking for a manager,
I think this is Pochettino's first signing as new Spurs manager.
If Poch comes in, I think if Poch comes in, he would love to have Gallagher. If we're getting in a manager who's maybe a bit more focused on a possession-based team, there might be some doubts about it. But I still think he should work. So I still think he's not a terrible passer as much as he's not an elite passer either way as well. I think his passing game, his numbers at Chelsea passing-wise were quite good, but Atletico, they've not been great. And there must be a reason for that. Maybe it's the manager, maybe it's Simeone's hacks, as they call it. But under Poch, his progressive passes were quite good, but they were quite a fast, direct, vertical team. Maybe under Atletico, they're a bit different. It's hard to know why exactly it hasn't worked out, because I thought in his first season they quite liked him, but it seems like this season it's just gone wrong.
As well, like a lot of the time they've kind of played him out off the left as well for Atletico, and it's just kind of like they've just trying to fit him in somewhere, and it just hasn't.
I saw a journalist call in. I can't remember which program it was, but he was a Spanish journalist, and he said that from his point of view, it's not a case of Gallagher not playing well when he's been in the team. It's more that there's just been better players ahead of him, and he found it hard. That's what he said. Now take that as you will. A lot of the Atletico fans who've been commenting on our videos saying they're happy getting the money. They don't think he's all that, to be honest. So
to be fair, we had the same from Juventus fans about Kulusevski and Bentancur.
That's also true. They turned out all right.
They turned out all right for us. So
one thing as well, which I think he provides, which I don't think we have enough, is maybe goals from midfield. I do think he's quite good at arriving late in the box, getting on the end of things, and he's a decent finisher. When he gets in the box, he's got a decent shot on him. So I think when you look at our midfield options, there's not enough of that, I feel, and he probably provides that. I'm not saying he's going to score loads, but between 5 and 10 goals a season he can be getting.
I think that what this signing does is puts massive pressure on the likes of someone like Pape Matar. Does he have a future here now? We've signed Conor Gallagher because they're pretty much the same position and have very similar attributes at times.
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely it put when you have Gray, Sarr, Bergvall there, Bentancur obviously out injured and he'll have to come back. Something's going to have to give there with Gallagher now coming in. We can't have them all.
I think 2 are going to have to leave. Bentancur and one other.
Yeah, which, yeah. And I don't know, obviously, I think Sarr's been here the longest. So logically, maybe if we're not convinced by him, maybe he's the guy to leave. But I would hate to lose Sarr. But I think Bergval's probably is a better player. So
Yeah, look.
So Bergval, I think, is a better player. Gray, is he a better player right now than Sarr? No, but has he got higher potential? Maybe, you could argue. I don't know, it's a difficult one.
Yeah, look, I don't think Pape Matthys Tel has developed in maybe the rate that we expected him to develop after what we've seen from him. You know, a couple of years ago, he looked fantastic. You know, he started the season fantastically well this year as well. And he just hasn't been able to keep up any sort of consistency, Pape. So I think they're looking at it as Conor Gallagher probably as a long-term replacement for Pape, in my opinion.
But in terms of Tottenham this season being poor, getting the ball, passing it forward in between the lines, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it doesn't help too much.
Does it help that much?
No, it doesn't help too much.
Am I expecting Tottenham now with Gallagher coming in? Am I expecting a different level of performances for our midfield? Maybe a bit more quality, but I'm not expecting like Tottenham are going to start playing through the centre now. Like that move doesn't represent that. What was interesting, as Paul O'Keefe said on the list, was Curtis Jones. I don't know if you have that in the article, but
that was my next one. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So we'll get into that then.
But look. By the way, the Romano on the Here We Go thing says Villa agreed to deal with Atletico but leave the race because player didn't give the final green light, which suggests that he chose Tottenham over Villa.
I think that's Villa putting, yeah, maybe. I mean, that doesn't sit well with Villa either. I would think that Atletico preferred our offer, so rejected Villa's. That's what I would think. But yeah, look, that's what Romano says. Take him on face value. Maybe he did reject Villa for us.
But look, I am... Look, we'll get into the reactions later, but Chelsea fan reactions. This is brilliant.
Phenomenal.
One of Cobham's finest. Their captain, just before he left, joining Tottenham Hotspur. The thing what I don't like about it is that if he does score against Chelsea, we're speaking about this off air, like, is he not going to celebrate against Chelsea? That just wouldn't sit right with me. Like, no Spurs player should not be able to celebrate against Chelsea. That's just ridiculous.
I just don't think he would.
Yeah. But anyway, let's move on to the last topic of the updating. And as Sim said, Paul O'Keefe said that Curtis Jones was on the list of potential targets for Tottenham Hotspur. He's had a decent season for Liverpool this year. He's probably been one of their better players or most consistent players. Would you take him at Spurs?
Yeah, I would. I like Curtis Jones. I actually think he's the kind of midfielder we actually need. The problem with Curtis Jones is, I would say, physically, he's not like on the level of maybe a Paulinho or even a Gallagher. But what he does give us is what we need, which is a guy who can progress the ball from deep. I think he could be a deep-lying playmaker for us. I don't think he's got like an exceptional long passing range, but I do think his short passing range in between the lines, keeping things ticking over, a midfielder with really good technical ability. I think he could really fit the bill, to be honest. I really like Curtis Jones. I'm a big fan of it. I think he's really underrated. I think he's very, very good technically. I do kind of think, yeah, he's best in like a midfield 3 kind of role. I'm not sure about him in a double pivot, to be honest. I think that there's a question mark there. But I think for me, I think when you're looking at midfielders, in terms of the profile that we need, someone who sits a bit deeper, sets the tone of a game, can really pick out the passes that we need to and play through the centre and pick those areas in between the lines and progress the ball. I think he's right up there, to be honest. I think he's really good. But whether Liverpool will let him go to us is another question.
All right, well, that
you
is...
like him?
I'm undecided on it, to be honest. I like him as a player, but I don't know if he's the answer for that role. I think... I don't know, man. I'm just really undecided on it. Like I said, I like the player, but I just don't. I think we need someone of proper high quality. I think he's high quality, but I'm just not sure if he's good enough to be like, look, you're that guy to really take us onto the next level.
Fair enough.
All right, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below all your thoughts regarding all the news stories that we have brought you today. Next up, we are going to be talking about the big protest that is planned against West Ham and who better to bring on...
Protest against West Ham? Are we protesting West Ham? Oh, no, I'm joking.
We probably should protest against West Ham.
Protest West Ham. Yeah.
See them down in the Championship. But
we want you down.
We got Billy T, to come on. So let's bring him on. Long-awaited debut on the channel. Great to have you on, Billy. The king of Twitter, I swear, your tweets absolutely bang every single time. I think
and TikTok,
and TikTok. I don't think there's been an episode where we react to Twitter and your name hasn't come up. So good to have you on, mate.
Oh, mate, it's an absolute pleasure. And I always say Tottenham make it very easy for me to do that kind of thing. You essentially just have to point at them what they're doing. That's all you really need to do. But honestly, it's a real pleasure to be on with you guys. Absolutely, a massive fan of your work, and absolute honour for me to be here.
I think every week you could do 5 reasons why Tottenham is a simulation. I think you do those quite often. Every week there's a new reason. I think.
Yeah, I mean, what I've started doing recently is I start on a Monday. I start a new notepad on my iPhone, and I just write down everything that ridiculous that Spurs have happened, and it's astounding how many things happen each week for our football club.
It's madness. It's absolute. We're basically just a beam. That's all we are.
And then to top it all off, we had the Arsenal Cup last week, which I don't think we'll ever top.
Only at bloody Tottenham these things happen. It's just madness, seriously. Look, obviously Spurs looking like they're going to get Conor Gallagher over the line. What's your kind of initial reaction to the transfer?
I agree with you guys. I think it's a smart signing. I do agree with what you were just saying. There is a panic signing in reaction to the Bentancur injury, and I also agree with what you said. And sometimes it's okay to be panicking. We're in a crisis. We should be panicking. So I understand that. I think we're desperate need of a midfield. We're desperate need of more bodies across in many areas. And again, completely agree with what you were saying. I would love to get a passer in there as well. Interested in the Curtis Jones links a little bit, because I did see a graphic on I think Spurs Statman, I think his Twitter name is, where Curtis Jones actually has among the best progressive passing stats in the league. But Gallagher is certainly not that kind of midfielder. But I think it's a good like for Bentancur, and that's about what it is really. It probably comes in as our best midfielder, but I don't think it's going to be a needle mover in terms of the way we play, because I've still got massive concerns about our ball progression in the centre of the midfield.
Yeah, I agree with that. But in terms of a needle move, do you think it'll be a needle mover in terms of hurting any sort of protest this weekend? Because we know that there's planned protests. We know that it's off the back of the protests that we saw, quite successful protests last year, that I was a part of pretty much all of them. Now Levy's gone, we're moving into a so-called new era under ENIC 2.0. Spurs always seem to do something before a protest to try and derail it. Do you think there's any sort of possibility of that?
I think some people have questioned that, but I think the fan base in general needs a lot more than this to be convinced of any kind of ownership, particularly one that is attaining to be a new one, but realistically is the same people that have been here for 25 years. I think they're going to have to do a lot more than Conor Gallagher to convince fans' frustration at the moment. And I would also suggest, it goes a lot deeper than signings at the moment. The stuff that's going on off the pitch, Fabio Paratici is about to leave us. We have a manager that seems to, I don't think many people would think that he's a long-term solution for Tottenham. The players are fighting the fans. The fans are, the connectivity between the players is long gone at the moment. Our captain's coming out against the board. It's just a complete circus at the moment. So I think it would take a lot more than this particular signing to convince us that this new era of the Lewis family 2.0 ENIC is any different to the 25 years we've seen previously.
When you cast your mind back to the summer, and obviously we won the Europa League, Daniel Levy stood down. There were, as Ben said, at the back end of last season... stood down, I should say. As Ben mentioned, there were large protests at the back end of last season. For you, did you ever want these protests to stop? Was it a case of you wanted to give ENIC 2.0 in quotation marks a grace period to see in the short term what was the plan and what they were kind of trying to implement, or was there kind of like a healthy dose of skepticism even with this ENIC rebrand come the summer?
I think we fell somewhere in the middle of both of those camps. I think, because such a massive thing has happened that Daniel Levy had left, and there were a number of new people that have come in on an executive level, we almost have to give them a sort of a grace period. But I think that goodwill has been swallowed up almost immediately with how shambolic things have gone since they've taken over. I think, you only have to look at the Tom Barkley article a couple of days ago, where he's talking about how, off the pitch it's an absolute shambles. I think the leadership at the club is lacking on almost every level at the moment. I think there's no clear direction. I think the fact that we're sort of languishing in 14th and out of both cups, and in obvious need of massive surgery to our squad, and we're halfway through January now almost, and we've only really made, it's only been the last couple of days we've made a signing. I think there's plenty of alarm bells there already. So while the initial intention was to say, okay, let's see what they do in January, let's see if they are going to be any different, I think the absolute chaos that surrounded us already in their immediate awakening has sort of validated those skepticism of whether this actually is ENIC 2.0, or whether the reality is that it's just the same people trying to rebrand as a PR exercise, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think about the protest back last year. Obviously, it was heavily focused on Daniel Levy and the job that he was doing at the football club. Now he has gone. What is the messaging going into this protest?
So the messaging going to this protest is, at the beginning of the season, we were told that the Lewis family, or the ENIC 2.0, or whatever you want to call them, they will obviously always refer to themselves as the Lewis family, because I think they believe, after the bad will between fan base, that ENIC has now got a lot of baggage between it, that sort of label. So they will always call themselves the Lewis family. So I'll do the same. The Lewis family, promised that. I think what you have to consider is that these guys rejected 3 quite high-profile bids, allegedly anyway, and we certainly know that's true because of the the practices of having to declare interest and all that kind of thing. So they've already made it clear they don't want to sell the club. So if that's true, okay, so what is your intention to do with this football club? And they've made it clear on several occasions they want to put football first. They want to really try and have something at this, try and invest in the football club to make it a football first, trophy winning side. And they promised that on several occasions. And when you look at interviews with Vinay, look at interviews with Frank, they continuously say the Lewis family are being ambitious. Well, so far we've seen no signs of that. We've seen, we're in a bit of disarray. The director of football that they sort of chose to hang their hat on in September is already leaving after reports that he doesn't see eye to eye with everyone. He's
just got a bird, mate. He's just got a new bird.
Exactly. Exactly. The transfer window going into it, we don't seem that prepared. Or considering they had 5 months to prepare for it, it seems to me, Gallagher is a market. I do think it's a positive sign, and don't get me wrong, but it's a market opportunity. I don't think in November and December, they were thinking Conor Gallagher is really the guy we've got to go and sign. I think it was more like Bentancur's got injured, so they've gone, okay, well, who can we go and sign? Let's go and sign Conor Gallagher to replace Bentancur. So I haven't seen any signs of this ambitious. So all we're asking for is for them to withhold those promises, to keep those promises, and show us that you are different to the new ownership. And, we need heavily investment into our playing squad if we're going to get anywhere near back to the way we were, even as long as 5 years ago.
So it's more of a case of, now we're sitting here 13th of January, obviously the protest coming on against the West Ham game on Saturday. Is it more of a case of putting pressure on the board to let them know that we're here, we're watching what you're doing, and we're going to scrutinise what you're doing, as a case of maybe... Look, I know the message wasn't sell up now or get out now, but it was very much, we don't really want you here anymore because you're not doing too much of a good job at this football club. Yeah,
and I think, throughout Change for Tottenham, all we want is to be competitive on the pitch again, and for a football club to be proud. And, I always, hark back to the Paratici era, and I know, it's big in the news at the moment because of the Conor Gallagher thing. I know it'll always be a question at Tottenham's hearts. Daniel Levy and ENIC were in charge then, and there were no protests then. There wasn't any bad will behind the fan base because we had a football team where we could see what we were trying to do. We were ambitious and we were competing on the top level every season. And that's all we really want as football fans. And we want the Lewis family to either hold their promises and do that, or sell the football club if they're not going to.
And when you talk about Fabio looking like he's nearly confirmed, at the end of this transfer window, he's going to be leaving. There's apparently a disagreement with him and the other people in the hierarchy about the manager. Apparently he never wanted Frank in the first place, but now he's leaving, and Vinay and Lang are going to be the guys, I'm guessing, to kind of fulfill whatever his requirements were, unless we get a new sporting director. Out of those three, was Fabio not the one we should be trusting more, to be honest, of his opinion, rather than Vinay and Lang? And does that go into how kind of messy this hierarchy is at the moment? The fact that he's the one out the door rather than the other two, who I think at the moment the fans don't really trust.
And I think that kind of speaks to the sort of level of incompetence that we're already seeing under this, in inverted commas, new era. Because when they appointed the double football co-directors thing, they said that Fabio was the one who would be in charge of the first team. Fabio would be the one in charge of the first team players and the first team squad and overseeing that. And Lang would be in terms of youth development. But actually, it seems to have flipped the reverse, because if the person who's in charge of the first team and the person who's in charge of the players doesn't want the manager, then surely that has autonomy over someone who's in charge of the youth. So it's completely flipped on its head already. It smacks to me of something which they did because they had to do it. So I know there's rumours that Daniel Levy had already sort of offered him the job when his ban transpired, finished. And it just, again, it's just, a general area of incompetence that, the big appointment that they did make in the football side of things, that was their first major footballing appointment, Fabio Paratici, is gone already.
Yeah, it's just such a shit show. It's just such a lack of leadership at this football club. And let's focus on Johan Lang here for a second, because what has he ever done in his career to actually fall into a role like this at Tottenham Hotspur? Like, at Aston Villa, he got the job. They were just going down and down and down. And as soon as he left, actually, that's when they started to see a bit of light in the end of the tunnel and go the other way. And ever since getting the job at Spurs have just been going down and down and down. So, I mean, what has Johan Lang actually done to actually stay in the job?
As well, that before he actually went from Villa, he got demoted at Villa as well. He actually got demoted to a lower job before he even left. So even before leaving, he was demoted. He was essentially been demoted at Tottenham too. I mean, this guy, I don't know about you guys, but I have no faith in this guy whatsoever. No. I think his biggest sort of, we finished fifth under Ange. We managed to scrape a fifth place, and we delivered a transfer window of Solanke teenagers. And after that, which I think was, ended up having the horror show in the league, which we saw in the season after. I know he's got a decent eye for young talent, but Tottenham are at a stage now where we need heavily investment in quality, experienced players, and I have absolutely no faith in Lang to do that whatsoever. I don't know about you guys.
No, I agree.
I completely agree. But what would you say to people who say, since Levy left, as you say, you wanted to maybe give a bit of a grace period, but you're not going to, when there's major restructural change. I think Ali Gold said 13 new heads of departments have been installed at Tottenham Hotspur since the summer, and there's been lots and lots of change from the top down in the summer. You're not going to see material change maybe in the short term, but it's going to be a long-term thing. So to think that there's going to be change within a few months is maybe a bit fanciful, and that's going to take time to see that filter down to the pitch essentially. Like, what would you say to fans who have who think that way?
I think that's I think that's fair enough. I think it is going to take a while. I think what's become really clear is that Daniel Levy was doing the job of about 4, 5, 6, 7 different people. He scaled from a football club that was worth tens of millions in the 90s to a $1 billion company, and there's no way that one man should have had that much responsibility. And what you've seen since he's gone, we've hired about 4 or 5 different executives, and of course there's going to be a bedding in period for that to happen. But I don't think that really flies with fans for the moment, because we're in an actual crisis right now. We're declining rapidly on the pitch. As we mentioned before, off the pitch we're a shambles. Our captain, there's no leadership at any level. The manager is struggling, the captain of the football club is struggling, and there's no direction, and we're languishing in 14th. And unfortunately for fan base, we're looking downwards rather than up, aren't we? I think we're much, the way that we're going at the moment on the pitch, we're much likely to finish below 14th and above, in our current trajectory. So I don't think we have any time to act on that thing. So I think what we need to do is react to the situation that we're in, and we need, serious investment in January, or just at least some promises that the club are aware of the absolute crisis that we're in.
But what does serious investment in January actually look like? Because I think we can all agree that we're not exactly an attractive proposition to big players right now, and who is actually going to come. And I'm like, if we take them on face value that they want to see more wins and more wins regularly, they want to invest heavily into the playing staff and blah blah blah, who can we actually attract in this January transfer window that's going to move the needle?
I think the Conor Gallagher deal is a good example of the reality in the world of football, that if you are prepared to pay the wages and you are prepared to pay the transfer fee, then players will come. Because I think right now, any player that's forced with the choice between Aston Villa and Tottenham, if it turns on the pitch, is going to choose Aston Villa because they're miles ahead of us in the league table.
Yeah.
They're miles ahead of us in terms of the playing style, the manager, much more settled, much less crisis. But what actually happened is Tottenham came in and said, actually, right, we're going to play, permanently. We're going to try and have a permanent transfer. We're going to offer you a 5.5-year deal. Aston Villa was sort of pressing around with loan to buy and things like that. Tottenham came in with the actual money and got the deal done. So I'm always a firm believer in the fact that if you actually pay the money for these players and you offer them high wages, then they will come. And I'm not saying we need to go and spend 300 million in January as much as everyone would love that. That's not realistic. But what we do need is badly need some bodies that can come in this amidst this injury crisis and improve our first team. If that's 2 or 3 signings in January and then move on to the summer where we can hopefully have a bit more investment. But I know I'm not expecting us to go out and sign 5 players in January or anything like that. But we do desperately need to react to this, another injury crisis and another, competency crisis in the Premier League.
Yeah, and you've got the players as well kind of calling out the board, not just the fans.
Yeah.
You had Romero obviously make that statement on Instagram after the Bournemouth game saying that other people should be talking. They only come out when things are going well to tell a few lies. And obviously a lot of the players as well were liking that post and commenting on that post. So it must be a widespread belief, I believe, in the dressing room about that. So what's your kind of feelings about what Romero did? Obviously, you're organising a protest against sport, so you obviously agree with him, but should our captain be saying that? Do you think it's a right thing for a player at the moment who's currently the captain of the team to be calling out the board after, emotionally after a loss, or do you think those things should be kept inside the dressing room?
Firstly, I agree with absolutely everything Romero said. I think, it's interesting that we, at the beginning of summer when everything was rosy, and we were European champions. It seems to be long forgotten at the moment. Mm-hmm. We had endless videos from Benai and lots of communication. And now that we're in crisis, we haven't seen anything since then. So I do agree with that. I think the issues that he's talking about is generally an English football problem rather than it's a problem within the media of English football rather than a Tottenham problem. There's no clubs where you hear, interviews after every game from the director of football, like you might hear in Germany or something like that. In England, it just doesn't really happen. The manager brunts all of it. It's just the way that English football generally works. And I do agree that it should generally be the people above that you should hear more from, particularly when we're in a crisis like that. However, I don't think it's a good message or a good look for the club, good optics for the club, that the club captain is coming out and saying these things, particularly after a defeat. And I think Romero himself has probably, has been a bit erratic this season. I've always defended Romero, particularly in the last 2 seasons, that he has this reputation of being a hothead or getting red cards. But he's actually kind of sunk into that this season, and he has been rash, and he has been his competency on the pitch has dropped as well, and I think he's let us down this season, both on the pitch and off the pitch. So I don't think it's a good look for your club captain to do it. I can't imagine someone like Son, for example, coming out with a statement like that. It just wouldn't happen. And I actually kind of think that all this sort of the connectivity between the fans and the players has been completely lost this season. I think in part, Son was really good at keeping up with that connectivity because he had such a great relationship between the fans. I think that's particularly broken at the moment. So I don't think it's a good time for the captain to be coming out and making the club look bad in the light of everything. While I agree with him and everything that he said, I think the timing of it is wrong and the way that he did it is wrong as well. Particularly the fact that I think the leadership at every level at Tottenham is struggling at the moment. I don't think Thomas Frank has a handle on the players, which is why you're seeing Romero sort of do what he wants in games, and Mickey van der Ven and people like that, Spence and all these kind of things. And at the same time, I don't think Romero is being a good leader for our team as well, which is why there is a completely broke down relationship at the moment between the fans and the players.
When it comes to the manager, his role in what's happening right now, it's a bit of the club, in terms of what the fans are calling for, they're a bit between a rock and a hard place, because if they sack him, they're obviously admitting they've made an absolute pig's ear of the appointment, and that they're maybe incompetent for hiring him in the first place, and they're ruining another project. But if they keep him, they're keeping in a guy who a lot of the fans are not happy with the football he's producing. And so what kind of direction should they be going in? Should they just back him fully and say, look, you're our guy, this is gonna be a long-term thing, even though right now it's failing, we really believe in you and we want to continue this project? Or should they admit defeat and say, we got this one wrong and we're going to go in another direction, but then It's a start of yet another project. It's another transition season. It's yet again something that Tottenham fans are complaining about hiring and firing managers consistently.
I think, I think the problem runs much bigger than Thomas Frank, and I think Tottenham needs to do a little bit of soul searching at the moment and think, what kind of football club do we want to be? Because I think at the current time, we've completely lost our identity as a football club. We seem to just hop from random manager to random manager, because if you look at the succession since Pochettino, we've had Mourinho, we've had Nuno, we've had Conte, we've had Ange, we've had Mason as an interim as well in there, and then Frank. There's nothing really which links any of those managers. We're almost just hopping randomly. I mean, you could not get two polar opposite managers in Ange and Frank if you tried. They're literally completely the opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of everything they do. So there's no coherent identity at Tottenham. So I think before we even worry about Thomas Frank, I think the people above that, and at the moment we don't really even have a director of football, which I think is a massive worry. They need to decide, what is our identity going to be? And I personally would suggest that Thomas Frank does not fit that identity, because I would hope that our identity is to be an attacking football team, front-footed possession football team, possession-based, as we've seen in the past. Managers like Harry Redknapp and Pochettino. And I always see your video doing the rounds of the Harry Redknapp one, where he's choosing his team over the team that we have now. And I mean, that rings true. We all want to go back to that kind of style of football, don't we? And we all want to go back to that kind of quality in the team. And then I think the football team need to think, right, rather than keep just going from random managers, we need to set a stall out for being an attacking football team. And I think Thomas Frank will be a casualty of that, either now or in summer, because he doesn't play that kind of football. I think we were lying to ourselves if we thought, he might have played like that for a season at the Championship in Brentford. But this guy is cautious to the max. I think we've seen that in everything that he's done this season. And then we sort of stopped trying to think, well, let's go from manager to manager to manager, to think, right, well, let's go from the top up with the director of football and buy players which are going to suit that regardless. A bit like the sort of way that Brighton and Brentford do. And have you seen this season? Brentford have shown that it doesn't really matter who their manager is, because they're so well run and well organised. They can get rid of the manager and hire the set piece coach, and they'll improve, because they are really clear of their identity. So I think Tottenham need to be really much clearer on what their identity is, rather than just going from random manager to random manager.
On the protests, so is there going to be like a succession of protests throughout the season? Is that plan in place, or is it just the kind of one-off protest for now and to see how they react to it? Where's it kind of at in terms of the planning?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So obviously, we are sort of aware that this is a new, in inverted commas, new period. And we are just going to be kind of reactive to how they do in the January transfer window. We're already making plans for the games that are in February as well, depending on how the January transfer window goes, because we just want to see our club be an ambitious football club. And if we do see that in January, or if we do see some smart football decisions, I think the key thing which we've been lacking lately in terms of football, it's not like ambitious is probably a bit of a difficult word to use. So I'd say like smart footballing decisions, because we've spent money over the last few years. It's just been spent really, really badly. So as long as we can see that the new owners are at least trying to invest in the playing squad, or at least trying to do the right things, I'd love there to be no more protests, because that means we're all happy and things like that. But certainly do have an eye on the February games as well, for continued action, continued consistent action, because I think that's the only way that you can really go about change. And as I mentioned before, we were already at the beginning of this new era trying to give them a bit of a grace period to see what's happened, but we've just been absolutely inundated with frustrated fans that are saying, when are the protests starting up again? Because I think the fan base are at an all-time low at the moment, and I think that's being reflected with the stadium attendances diminishing every single game. The Man City game is on general sale, which is unheard of for a game of that size. And I think fans, for the first time that I can remember in the last 10, 15 years ago, are now starting to vote with their feet. And I think really that's stronger than any protest that we can do, is that if fans are not turning up to the stadium anymore, then that's really the ultimate form of protest.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I've never known it in my history of supporting Spurs for it to be so easy to get a ticket for any game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Even away games.
And you have to go on Twitter and people are trying to sell, Man City tickets for £20, £15 or whatever, just to try and get rid of them. Like, it's great, and people hand them out for free. It's nuts.
I know.
I just think that speaks to the general apathy.
Anyone can go on these Facebook groups and pick up a ticket for free on the day or the day before the game to any home game, which is just nuts. And even games like Bournemouth away, usually like a golden ticket where nobody can get a ticket because the allocation's so small. I know it still went to very high points, but I've just seen tickets flying left, right, and centre for games like even like Bournemouth away, which is just a massive shock, isn't it?
And it's a real shame that this comes after, being European champions and being in the Champions League. It feels like all of that sort of goodwill that we had at the parade sort of immediately been wasted and ruined because, like I said, I've never known a point where the fan base have this much apathy towards the club, and the kind of anger almost has sort of dissipated from the fan base because a lot of people have just given up now. And I think that's because these owners, Enoch and the Lewis family, have been here for 25 years, and I think while people might have at the beginning thought, right, maybe this will be something new, I think already pretty quickly that kind of optimism has disappeared.
Yeah, and it's like even in the Aston Villa game, because everyone was saying with the Champions League games, the ticket prices are too expensive. You lower the ticket prices and you'll see the stadium get packed out. But that wasn't the case for Aston Villa. They were £30. £30 across the whole stadium, and it was still so many empty seats.
And there were 9,000 Villa fans there as well, so it was a really low attendance for an FA Cup on a Saturday against Aston Villa. £30, they can't get anywhere near filling it. It's crazy.
Technically our biggest game of the season up to this point as well,
Yeah.
because we knew that what a massive only chance of silverware left is this FA Cup, isn't it? So we knew that we needed to get through, and as you say, the attendance is shocking. And I look back to those videos at the moment of the parade, and it's like an alternate universe. It's like a different timeline. It's like I look back at that thinking, wow, things have just spiraled so quickly. But when it comes to Enoch and all this kind of stuff, I think it's right that the pressure should be put on them, because for me, yes, they've rebranded, but if you take that away, you take away their PR push in the summer, it's still a continuation of exactly what they've been implementing for the last 25 years. So for me, it's only right to basically ignore that rebrand and basically act as if nothing has changed, because until they prove something has changed, there's no point in us giving them that time to change, because they need to prove it to us. It's not about us giving them the benefit and the doubt until they prove otherwise. They need to prove it to us that they've changed before we start to give them any goodwill. And I think that's absolutely right, in my opinion.
Yeah, but also on top of that, right, we had this January transfer window was supposed to be their first kind of evidence to show Spurs fans what they can do, right? And on whatever you want to say about or think about Brendan Johnson and whether you think he's good enough or not, he was a body that could put the ball in the back of the net. He sold Brendan Johnson on the 1st of January. We're still sitting here 2 weeks later with no attacking option brought into the football club. Kudos has got injured now. We have no fit right winger in the squad. And it's just like, where's the ambition on that sense? If you're going to sell Brendan Johnson, at least have a replacement lined up to come in the very next day. Like, it's just the same kind of mistakes over and over again.
And in the Premier League game before January, Takai and Johnson were both on the bench. Obviously, they got sold or loaned pretty immediately in January. So the squad literally got weaker. And as a result of that, we dropped points in every Premier League game in January so far, and we've gone out the FA Cup. Because obviously you can debate whether I know a lot of people sort of think the Johnson sale is a good thing long term, but the literal factors are Premier League squad is weaker because we've lost 2 of the bench and haven't replaced them. And we've dropped points in every game in January, and we're out the FA Cup. And a lot of people would now point to the season being over. So I think immediately, very, very quickly, they've sort of shown that this huge opportunity that they had in January to show, this is something new. They've pretty much already, halfway through, and we haven't seen any evidence of it whatsoever.
Yeah, it's so true. But in terms of Saturday, I think for anyone interested, and I hope you are, and I hope the turnout is very big on Saturday, can you let the people know what the actual plans are?
Yep, sure. So so we're meeting at 2:00 on Saturday before the West Ham game. So the kickoff is at 3:00. So we're meeting at 2:00 outside the Corner Pin pub, which is right by the stadium, also close to the number 8 pub. 2:00. To meet and just to make our voices heard, sing some songs, bring some chants and banners out and things like that. Just to reassure everyone that these are family-friendly protests, and anyone that's attended will attest to. We've had children and families there. They're not violent protests or anything like that. They're not age inappropriate. Everyone is welcome to them. And then we're going to sing some songs with some banners outside the ground at between 2 and 2:30, and then head into the concourse as well to continue that inside the stadium. We've always considered the option of sort of, a lot of people have asked about walkouts and things like that, which is something we'd love to do. But until we are, until we have confirmation that we have huge support in terms of numbers. I think the problem is with, say for example, the South Stand has got 15,000 people in it or whatever. If you get 500 people to walk out, it's not going to be noticeable at all. So you need serious numbers to be able to pull off that kind of thing. So that's why we're sort of meeting outside the stadium. I'm going to continue that inside the stadium too. We would love to do things like walkouts in the future, but at the moment we're just on about sending a message to the board. And so far we've had actually probably our most media coverage ever for this protest. It's been in all the national newspapers so far, and Henry Winter's been talking about it and things. So we hope that the club are going to get the message that the fans just need, we need them to be ambitious. We need them to actually address this crisis that we're in.
I don't think you need a protest to engineer a walkout in these days.
I know.
The team does it themselves, I think.
I know.
Yeah. But look, I'll be there on Saturday,
Brilliant.
so very much looking forward to it. So I'll see you on Saturday. And I just want to thank you and the rest of the Change for Tottenham team for all the hard work that you've been putting in over the last couple of years. It definitely hasn't gone unnoticed with a large section of the fan base. So yeah, I implore you all to go and get down there 2:00. Even if you're not going to the game, this is big for the future of our football club. So everyone wants a better Tottenham Hotspur. So get down to the corner pin or on the corner of the South Stand, 2:00 on Saturday. But Billy, thank you so much for coming on, my friend.
No, thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate your support over the years, and look forward to see you on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
Nice one, Billy.
Definitely,
Thanks
mate. And that is Billy T from Change for Tottenham. The unbelievable work that goes into that is just crazy. So thank you very much, Billy, for coming on today. We're going to get into some super chats just before we move in to our next segments. Well, there's quite a few actually to get our teeth bitten into. So Paul Peters says, if we won the that was yesterday or 2 days ago.
This one, Nika, I think, is the first one from today.
Nika. Oh, yeah, there we go. Nika8822 says, all out for Pickford. I'm sure he says Guehi, Welbeck, leadership and experience. Sell Romero, go all out for Guehi, Vicario to fund Welbeck for 18 months. That just sounds like an absolutely terrible idea. What is going on in that super chat?
Would you swap Pickford for Vicario?
Maybe as like a short-term option, but Pickford's not exactly the long-term answer to this football club, is he?
Yeah, I don't think so. Guehi, sell Romero, get Guehi. I mean, in theory, it's not like the worst thing to do, but Guehi ain't coming. He's got Arsenal, Liverpool, and City all after him. So we're not getting Guehi. Like, no chance. We can chuck as much money at him as we can if we want, but he ain't coming to Spurs.
You taking Welbeck for 18 months?
A Welbeck for... No. No, I'm not taking Welbeck for 18 months. I know he's been quite good this season, but the guy's, 34? Like, I don't think
Is
so.
he 34? Wow.
I think so. He's quite old now,
Yeah.
isn't he?
All right, well, yeah. I'm not sure about that, Nika, but thank you for the super chat. Shuli Madoff says, Conor Gallagher
35, actually.
Is a 35, wow, is a perfect fit for a mediocre club like Spurs.
Look, I guess if if you're being brutally honest, how many teams does Conor Gallagher get in above us?
Yeah, not many. He don't get into the Liverpool side, don't get into the Arsenal side, don't get into the Chelsea side, don't get into the Man City side.
Villa?
Well, Villa wanted to sign him.
I know, but to start, they have Tielemans, Kamara, and who's in the 10? Buendia? Not Buendia. Is it Buendia? Anyway,
I mean, they don't play three in midfield, do they? They play like a 4-4-2 at times.
It's more like a 4-2-3-1, isn't it?
McGinn sometimes plays.
McGinn, does he get in there? Newcastle, he doesn't get in that team.
No. The thing is, though, like, you need to build a squad, don't you? It's not just about the first 11. And I think...
But he's coming in to be first 11.
Yeah, right, at this moment in time. But I don't think that's probably the end goal here. The end goal, well, as I see it, maybe it's not the same within the club, but in terms of what it has to be he's like a building block within the squad. He's not the kind of answer to us, is he?
Yeah, I agree. We just need the help at the moment. We need the bodies. And I think Gallagher, when you look at him, I don't think we can... If you're looking for a quick replacement for Bentancur and also maybe a minor upgrade, I don't think we're going to get much better than him right now.
Yeah. The one problem I have with Conor Gallagher is that he's been so injury-free.
Oh, it's a problem, yeah. Rather injury.
He's like basically never had an injury. And we know we've said that about Solanke, we said that about Moani, and oh God, we've got to take bets on when his first injury is going to be, because I bet you it's going to be soon.
On his debut, for sure.
Malware with the super chat says Gallagher is is good, but you just know he's getting injured. Oh, there you go. He's just getting injured soon. Look up Anthony Spice Adam meme. That's our medical team just waiting for Gallagher.
Don't know that meme, but yeah,
I don't know the meme, but I get the sentiment.
Yeah, 100%. He's 100% getting injured straight away. Even Solanke in his first week, wasn't it? In his first game, he got injured after never being injured the whole season. Moani in his first game or whatever, he got injured. Nuts.
And Southeast Coys says, call me crazy, but I think Spurs bringing Gallagher in says more about Thomas Frank's job security than anything, with Poch waiting in the wings.
There's rumours. Who said it, that Frank didn't want him?
Himothy said it.
Do you think it's true?
I mean, maybe he wasn't on his kind of list of targets, but him making the call probably suggests that he's okay with it and wants him in.
Not necessarily. I think even if it is a club signing, Gallagher's going to want to talk to Frank. So I don't think Frank's going to. I'm not talking to him.
Did Spence speak to Conte before he came in?
I don't know.
I doubt it.
I don't know. Yeah, but Conte's not Frank, is he?
Yeah.
I think even if Frank didn't want him, he probably would have spoken to him anyway to try and convince him to come if that's what the club wanted. You know what I mean? But I don't see why he wouldn't want Gallagher.
Yeah, neither do I.
To be honest.
But I think it does smack as a club signing just because we've been chasing him for so many years. But yeah. I don't doubt that the club probably brought Conor Gallagher to Frank, and Frank's like, yeah, fine, let's go for it. Mm-hmm. That's probably the way it went. All right, so let's go and see how the internet has been reacting to Conor Gallagher. Are we going to comments first, or are we going to X? All right. This is how social media has been reacting to the Conor Gallagher news. And first up is Make Chelsea Great Again. And he's saying Gallagher was second in chance creation for us and led the team in duels and tackles, as well as covering the most ground.
So this was him in the Prem. I guess what is that? Oh, that's his Chelsea ranking, not Premier League ranking.
Yeah.
Still pretty good though. I mean, Chelsea that season they finished sixth. This is under Poch. He was cooking as like this all-action midfielder, wasn't he, that season?
What was his? 7 assists.
53 chances created. Duels 1, tackles 1. So I think when it comes to people saying he's just a duel winner, I think he's a bit more than that.
No, I think people that say he's just a duel winner is not really giving him the props that he deserves for what he's done so far.
Yeah, I think he's good in the box as well. He's not like... I think when it comes to his passing, I think he's one of those where if you give him a quick decision to make, like you give him the ball and he has to make a first-time pass forward into a player into space, he can do it. But it's one of those where you give him like the ball and he's got time and space and he's got like, he has to pick a lock, and then all of a sudden when the game is slower, I think he struggles a bit.
Yeah, he's not going to be one of these guys that is going to kind of like set at the base and dictate the tempo of play and play those kind of eye through the needle balls that maybe we're looking for. But he definitely holds a big value in terms of being able to create chances, for sure.
I saw someone call him the English Højbjerg.
Oh, God. I think he's better than Højbjerg, in my opinion.
I think he's a bit different to Højbjerg. I think he's much more press resistant as well, which I think people goes under the radar with people.
He'll pick up a lot more bookings than Højbjerg, though, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, true.
All right. The Lampard View says, we really made a banner for these two. And I was actually at that game. I'm pretty sure that Conor Gallagher tifo was against Spurs.
Spurs, we were interested in him.
Spurs were heavily interested and linked with him in the press. And Chelsea fans were having none of it. They were like desperate to keep him and not let him go to Tottenham. And obviously they ended up selling him that summer anyway to Atletico Madrid. But I remember so clearly that tifo and being there, and also walking around outside Stamford Bridge and walking past all the pubs, and they were just singing Conor Gallagher songs non-stop.
What would be equivalent for us? I guess we don't really have too many homegrown players at the moment, but just imagine we did a tifo for that against like Chelsea, and then he goes up and ends up at that team. It's just your head would be on Mars, I think.
But that tifo was in direct response to the links at Tottenham.
Chelsea since birth. Oh God. Oh. I can understand Chelsea fans being very unhappy today. But at the end of the day, they made a decision to let him go.
But Sam, we've complained about Gunnar infiltration.
True. Are we getting Chelsea also? It's too much, man. It's too much of this infiltration. Left, right and centre. Now in the playing staff, we're getting infiltration. We already got it in the hierarchy. We've got it at manager level. Now we're getting players coming in. Does anyone have Tottenham as in their best interests at heart? Anyone? Anyone care about Spurs?
Yeah, I think
Just the fans.
For me, Conor is a model professional in my opinion, and I think he'll give his all for Tottenham, and I think it'll be a good signing for us. I think the fans will really like Conor Gallagher once he gets going. In my opinion,
He'll get on board. I think they'll get on board. I think Tottenham fans definitely have a soft spot for players who just give their all with passion and always have lots of fun. That's why Paulinho, a lot of people I know a lot of people don't like his footballing ability, but everyone appreciates what he offers. We've always loved like a Palacios or a Wanyama or these kind of players.
Look, if you're willing to die on the pitch for the badge, that's one step forward to being loved by the fan base, in my opinion. Carefree Lewis, he is trolling in the last 24 hours. He says proper Chelsea as he holds up a cup saying, if they sell Conor, we riot.
They actually sold those mugs. Oh
yeah, they sold those mugs. They had T-shirts as well.
Oh my God.
It was unbelievable, but actually you can see he doesn't actually mean it, because look at that smile on his face. Like, he was one of the Chelsea fans that didn't back Conor when he was at the club.
Proper Chelsea's Conor Gallagher. I guess what would be equivalent for Tottenham? Harry Winks moving? I don't know.
I don't think we have an equivalent.
Yeah. Ledley King? No, not quite.
No way, not Ledley King.
Yeah, well, don't know, Tanganga. Tanganga going to Chelsea.
I don't think there is an equivalent.
There's not really a proper equivalent, is there?
No.
Can't think of one.
Because look, at the end of the day, he was Chelsea captain for that short amount of time.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Then, what can Chelsea fans really complain about? They sold him. They decided to take the money. And so whatever he does after that was out of their control at that point.
Yeah. Thing is, I think the main thing here about Conor Gallagher is I don't think they mind him, moving on. I don't think they minded him moving on to Atletico, but they just don't want him to play for their biggest rivals in Tottenham, because they still hold him, close to their hearts a little bit.
No, I get that. I'm just saying, they sold him at that point. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah. Well, I guess the equivalent could be Pochettino.
Poch.
That could be a bit of an equivalent.
Sure. Seems like we've forgiven him.
I think, I still speak to some Spurs fans and they haven't. Some do, some don't. It's just, whatever way you kind of think about it. But at the time, when Poch went to Chelsea, do you remember the hate coming from the fan base?
Oh, yeah, he always, is that it? Is he done with Tottenham now? A lot of people say, yeah, that's it. He can never come back. Maybe because he was sacked so quickly and didn't do great, in theory, even though he finished sixth. Maybe that's...
Look, I think if things went a different way with Tottenham and things were looking up for Tottenham, maybe that would still hold some weight. But because we just need a saviour, that's the reality.
Yeah, true.
Le Prince says, this is why buying an Englishman is worth it. Even if he plays the most shit football you've ever seen, the Prem clubs will still pay insane money anyway.
So this is an Atletico fan.
Yeah.
Well, he seems happy to take the money, doesn't he?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Atletico reaction being quite happy to see the back of him.
They the comments as well. The comment on this had little to no impact in Spain, yet still commands fair valuations.
They kind of broke even on him, didn't they? Or did they make a slight profit?
So I think it was 38 million they spent on him. I don't know if that's... Hab says you've truly had Spurs pants down. Not going to lie, I don't think most big clubs look at 40 million and say, okay, that's fair. Yeah, they seem pretty happy in the comments with it seems.
And this next one from Fran says, we are getting 40 million euros. Oh my God, I love the Premier League.
These Atletico fans are absolutely loving it. They're loving it. Which I don't know what it says about the transfer. It was always not great when you see those comments. But as you say, Juve, they were delighted to get rid of Decky and Bentancur, and they were great for us.
Yeah. There was another comment I saw underneath one of these comments. I can't find it right now, but the general sentiment of the comment was, I think it was from this guy, and he said 50 million for Cunha and now 40 million for Gallagher. I mean, like, Cunha's a fantastic player. And it seems like Atletico were happy to see the back of Cunha.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if that's the case, which they were, by the way, he was definitely struggling at Atletico, Cunha. moved and what a player he's become. So
Yeah.
maybe there's a lesson there as well.
And like I said, you can draw maybe some parallels to the Bentancur and Kulusevski situation as well. And also maybe sometimes it just doesn't fit. You know, you can be a good player and it just doesn't work out at a certain club. That could be a case of it as well. But, you know, when you thought about Conor moving to Atletico, you thought it would have been a good fit.
Yeah, in theory, I thought that's perfect, but didn't turn out to be.
Tottenham Independent Transfer Story says, to be fair, Conor Gallagher, he hates Tottenham Hotspur, so we already have that in common.
No one hates Spurs like Tottenham fans.
Lily White Lab says, this isn't about Gallagher. As I spoke about in my video earlier, I actually think he's a good player. It's the fact that the club are clogging up the squad with profiles we don't need and neglecting everything else we do need to improve our squad or our team. Could Gallagher be slightly better than what we have? Maybe. But what does that mean for the next windows? We've just signed Bentancur to a new contract. We have Sarr, Bergvall and Gray Bissouma still hasn't been shifted. We now need to shift at least 2 or 3 of these before we can actually solve the issues that we have in man midfield. Signing like these just set us back years and everyone complains when we can't shift our deadwood.
I mean, there is some truth to that. There is some truth to that. As much as I think Gallagher is better than a lot of the midfielders he mentioned on that list, or maybe the best, to be honest. There's a case for it. But
do you agree that it's only slightly improving the level of the squad?
In terms of actual overall ability, I think right now he is much better than the likes of Sarr, Bergvall, Gray. Don't get me wrong, he is. But in terms of their ceiling, I don't think it's that different. I think Bergvall could be as good as Gallagher in a couple of years' time. I think Sarr has similar level to him. Gray, we don't really know yet, but I think obviously he's got high potential. So I think he's a better midfielder for sure than Bentancur because obviously has a similar age. So you can compare them. I think these guys are much younger than Gallagher by about 5 or 6 years. So they've got a lot more developing to do. But from that point of view, you'd say, okay, allow them to develop while you have Gallagher there as your starter. But that's a lot of midfielders there, isn't it? You are clogging it up. So I get what you're saying. I think as a potential and a ceiling, I think the midfielders there could easily be just as good as Gallagher, maybe in a few years. But right now, I do think Gallagher is better.
You look at those midfield options. He doesn't mention Paulinho. Obviously, he's on loan, so we don't know what's going to happen to him past this season. It's very likely that he's not even here next season. Bissouma, he's not going to be here next season. We know that. He's going into the last few months of his contract. So I think putting Bissouma in that kind of sentence is probably just making it seem a bit worse than it probably is. Sarr, Bergvall and Gray, I think there's validity to that. I think one of them, most likely Sarr, will probably have to be moved on.
Unless you loan out Gray or something.
I wouldn't be against that.
I mean, if we've got the players, if Gray get a Premier League loan in him, maybe it would help.
Yeah. But look, I think the general sentiment of the tweet saying that we are clogging up the squad with kind of similar profiles and we need that kind of different... Well, look, we've spoken about it so much.
That's an issue,
Yeah. TFC Maastricht says, we identified the perfect profile in Curtis Jones and then went for Gallagher. Why can't you bring them both?
So this is... you can see what Jones offers there. High pass success rate, high progressive passes. He's we're covering him up at the moment, but he's right there, top right, and apparently we're interested in him. We're looking at the data, and that's probably why. And you can look at our midfielders as well. Look how just all of them near the bottom of the progressive pass list.
Yeah,
which is why we're struggling so much. Whether that's a team thing, a player thing. But,
Do you think it is more of a tactical thing than a personnel issue?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's more of a tactical issue, but I also think whatever tactics we play, I don't see any of those players ever being near the top, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any of them are good enough to be near the top.
Yeah. The thing is with Jones, though, and why I have a bit of a problem with this tweet is, first of all, we can identify Jones all we want. He plays for Liverpool. He's a Liverpool boy, He's come through the academy there. He's played a significant part of their season. He's probably been one of their better players this season. So in what world do us as Spurs fans think that we can convince Jones to even come here?
Unless he's out of favour, but at the moment he seems to be playing a lot, so I don't see how we Yeah, unless they're looking to upgrade him, they're happy to sell for a decent price.
That's not this January, though, is it? Going to be that?
No,
If that'll be anything the earliest this summer, and even then, it's probably a bit unlikely.
Yeah, I think signing Jones is a bit fanciful. Especially, I think if we were in a different situation, maybe we could convince him. But right now, with the mess we're in, and obviously he's playing fairly regularly for Liverpool, I don't see that happening. But I also feel like they've never truly trusted him to be their starter. So I think there is a chance to maybe get him in if you say, look, you come in, we'll build the midfield around you, you're going to be our main player. I think that you can build a case there, but with what we are right now, I don't see him thinking, you're
Is he good enough for that, though? Is he good enough for us to highlight him and say, look, we're going to build a team around you?
I think he's good enough to be a starter in our midfield.
But like to build the team around and be a star?
Maybe not build the team around. Maybe that's a bit much, but I think to have him be the tone setter, I think he is good enough.
So this one's great. Make Chelsea great again, says Gallagher. I can't believe you turn your back on Chelsea for Spurs after everything we've done for you. You sold him, mate. Chill out. This is brilliant. Let's go have a watch of this.
The one that made sense for me, proper fucking Chelsea, bro, was Conor Gallagher, fam. I don't care, fam. I used to be on the front lines for Gallagher. Man would
used to be on the front lines for Gallagher,
bro. When we signed Enzo, I said, no, fuck that. We got Gallagher at Palace. What season? Gallagher was the scapegoat. Man used to ride pause for Gallagher, bro. In the 6, the 8, the 10. Man, I've mad love for you, Gallagher, bro. I swear down.
I
was on putting my own piece down for the banner when the man was talking about the banner. Man was willing to put my own funding out there for you, cousin. I got a t-shirt upstairs.
He spent his own money on that banner, Conor.
That says they sell Gallagher, we riot. That's how much I fucking hate you, Gallagher. And you're gonna backdoor us for fucking Spurs. For Spurs! What the fuck are we doing? They're 17th in the league, Cutty. Why would you do that? Villa are challenging for the Champions League. Villa in a good position. That's a good team. I would understand that. You could go there, fly straight. You're rejecting Villa for Spurs. Are you fucking tapped? Are you actually tapped, bro? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Like, I don't even get it, bro. What, like, man them showed you love, cuz. Man actually showed you love, bro.
I actually showed you love.
You was actually family, bro. It's not
He
like
was actually family.
Like
I was with you since day one.
Bro? Man, I'd love for you, Gala. For what, though? Why would, like, Spurs, bro? You know what that shit means. It's not like you don't get it, bro. You know what that shit means, fam.
Oh, God. Poor guy.
You know what? Like, this is
this just a video?
I
thought it was the end of the video.
He speaks more.
Fans that don't even know what the bridge is, bro. You man that never seen Matthew Harding stand in your life, bro. You man that don't know the difference between Shed and East Stand, West Stand, all of that. You fucking pricks on the this mess. Because when Gallagher was starting for us every fucking week, you lot were online scapegoating him when he was mashing in more works than Enzo that year. And he cost us no money. You lot enabled all of this fucking shit. He probably fucking done that decision because he seen what the fuck you man was doing when he was playing for us.
He's playing.
And he went fucking Mozambique or something, bro. You don't even. Fuck this, bro.
Oh, that is a generational head loss.
But you know, this is the thing. I'm more excited about the Chelsea head loss, the ones that love Gallagher, proper Chelsea and all that. This is what I'm most excited about out of everything, more than what he's going to bring to the team. Like, literally, it is the best thing in the world.
Man, this guy rode for him from day one. Day one, he stabbed him in the back. He showed him love. He was part of his family. He invited around for dinner.
And he also tweeted out before that, if Gallagher goes to Spurs, he's dead to me. Can't believe we still think it's not true.
Oh, poor guy.
Man.
Poor guy.
Nothing better than Chelsea and Arsenal head loss,
Absolutely
man.
phenomenal. And he did this a great head loss when Xavi signed for us as well. That's brilliant.
Olivia says, I don't really see an issue with Gallagher going to Spurs. His boyhood club didn't want him, so let him go. He has to be selfish and go to where best suits him. Spurs offering him a permanent deal whilst Villa was alone. Also, London versus Birmingham, easy decision. Don't blame it at all.
That's another Chelsea fan. So more level-headed approach.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that.
Very two opposite ends of the spectrum there.
This one is from Spencer Mossman saying Conor Gallagher to Spurs, strong Premier League experience and age, profile mix at appropriate enough price, willing shooter, pass accuracy metrics exceed volume, contextualize with the fact that he sees touches both early and late in possession, suggests he could scale with more in possession responsibility, plus a ball carrier, plus an active defender. Not particularly clinical defender. Spurs midfield remains completely bereft of natural progressors, which he is not. Profile overlap with Lucas Verval could limit his development. Bottom line, not a huge fan of his fit with Spurs on the surface due to what I perceive there needs to be and how I believe Gallagher best fits into a team, and isn't an indictment of the player. I think that's what's needed. Profile, then 40 million is a solid price to play for his level. P.S. I've been working on creating a tool for me to scale my visualizations faster, blah, 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 blah.
But yeah, so what I think is interesting is this: if you the dot graph there, you can see just how he compares with some of our passes there on the bottom right. It's probably hard to see, but in terms of progressive passes, he's quite similar, to be honest.
Yeah.
Progressive passes completed. Him, Sarr, Gray, Bentancur, Paulinho, all quite similar. Bergvall, highest when it comes to ball carrying, progressive runs. He's a bit higher on that level. So yeah, I guess his point is, does he change much in that sense? And that's obviously the big issue, I guess. And obviously 40 million is, I'm guessing, is a fairly significant part of our transfer budget. But
well, it's the fee we let go of Brendan Johnson for, pretty much.
True, 1 in, 1 out. So from that point of view, it's not too bad.
I think the price for Conor Gallagher is a fair price. I think it's probably, like I said with Brennan, about market value.
Yeah, 40 million euros, 34 million pounds. I think it's not bad.
Kane from the Lane said, if we want to act like a big club, Wharton or Anderson. If we want to act like a smart club, Smith or Scott. If we want to act like Tottenham, Gallagher.
That's how a lot of people feel at the moment. It's just not a smart signing as much as it's like a signing just to get a name in the door who we know is a good midfielder, but is it a player which is like a smart piece of business? I mean, given the price, it's not terrible, but
I think it's a decent bit of business. I get the issues and I get the fans' frustration in terms of what we need in this squad, but the reality is that Bissouma's pretty much out the door. Bentancur's out for 3 months. We don't know how long this Bergvall injury is going to last. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We're just lacking in numbers, even from the other aspect of the midfield. So I think it's a good signing for the squad, and I think it raises the level. Does it solve the problems that we've been seeing all season? No. We still need to focus on that.
And we were saying yesterday, all of a sudden with Bentancur's injury, centre mid probably becomes the largest priority all of a sudden, because obviously it's such a crucial part of the pitch. You just need bodies in there, and obviously we can't keep relying on Gray and Paulinho forever. I know Sarr's back soon, but still we need another one on top of that. So yeah, I'm pretty content with this. I'm not like jumping for joy, but I think it's a good signing. I don't have massive issues with it.
The reality is Gray has been playing week in, week out alongside Bentancur.
Yeah.
Right? So now you assume Paulinho is going to come in for Bentancur and Gallagher will come in for Archie Gray. And Gallagher to Gray is a massive upgrade in my opinion.
I would love one day, like if we're against like really attacking teams, a double pivot of like Bergvall and Gallagher. I would love to see that and what that's like.
Yeah,
I think that could be, because yes, there's no pure defensive midfielder, but they both do a lot of running. They both commit a lot of challenges. Sometimes you don't need a pure defensive midfielder, and in those kind of games, I think that double pivot could be interesting.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we see that under Frank.
No, I don't think so either.
Matt Law says Conor Gallagher due to start his Tottenham medical today. Really good signing, brings versatility, leadership, and of course quality. Instantly improves Tottenham, and that's kind of the way I see it.
Yeah, I think so. I think versatility as well. I think, yeah, that's another thing. He can once we do get Sarr back and whatever, he could be an alternative on occasion to Xavi in certain games, which is also maybe when we're playing, away from home against a really tough opposition, you play him in the 10, and that could be something that could work for us as well.
Yeah, when you're looking at our best performances so far this season, and you look at the intense press and winning the ball high up the pitch. Like, he's only going to add to that. And you know, when we're in that kind of mode and playing in that sort of way, the way we want to see us play, I think he'll be pivotal to it.
Yeah. But he will be a player as well who will probably frustrate you at some points, and he'll probably misplace a pass here and there, and you'll be like, oh, what's he doing? But I think in general, he'll add a lot to the team, I think.
What player doesn't frustrate us?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Tom Garrett says, Gallagher's a good signing for Spurs. Is he exactly the profile they need? No. Does he immediately become their best centre mid? Yes. Beggars can't be choosers, lads. Bentancur plays every week. You're also crap. And Gallagher is a proven top half Premier League player. It's solid business.
Yeah, and that's also how a lot of fans feel, I think. And I think that's a fair opinion to have. As much as, you know, you can have all the tactical reasons why this player's not exactly what we need and blah, blah, blah. And that's absolutely right. They're right to have concerns. But at the end of the day, we still have this gaping hole in this midfield right now, especially with Bentancur's injury, and we just need someone. And that's just the truth of the matter.
Yeah. At the end of the day, right, who are we attracting in this January transfer window that is better than Conor Gallagher? Probably no one.
I can't see it.
Richard Cracknell, big up Crackers. He says, I like Gallagher. I also like Paulinia. You can take your laptops and go work out the XG on how many fucks I give. But you don't like them.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Hundo says, Gallagher, Bentancur and Paulinia midfield.
This is the kind of technical quality we're going to be getting used to, I think.
In the short term... That's pretty much like our midfield now.
Yeah, true.
In the short term, though, surely our best midfield is Paulinia, Gallagher, Javi now.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
That's the midfield that will start against West Ham, surely.
I'd also like to see Gallagher Gray as well. I think that could be good.
What, Gallagher, Gray, Javi?
Yeah. But I expect in the short term, I expect Saturday will be Gallagher. I think if Gallagher signed it down, which looks like he will be. I think he'll be him.
All right, that's it. What number do you think he'll be?
Some are saying 5. 5. We're down to 5, isn't it?
So Alistair Gold just said that Tottenham will not be able to add Gallagher or Sousa to their Champions League squad for the games against Dortmund and Frankfurt.
Have we made a change already? Because I think you can only make 2 changes.
So we've made 1 change or 2 changes? Have we made 2 changes?
We brought in Tel. Just Tel, isn't it? Or maybe is it a 1 window change? Maybe or something? I don't know. Can't bring them in.
But Brennan's obviously been taken out now. Does that mean Solanke comes back in for him? And also we've got these injuries of Kudos. Can't he be taken out? And we've got the injury of Bentancur. Can't he be taken out?
We only made 1, right? It's only just Tel. We can't hear you guys, it says. What? Is that turn the video off? What's going on? We can't hear you.
Oh, this video's playing.
Oh. Sorry.
Well, what I was saying is that Alistair Gold says we're not able to add Gallagher or Sousa to the Champions League squad for the league phase matches against Dortmund and Frankfurt.
Yeah, have we only made 1 change, right? Only Tel. I can't think of anyone else who would have come in. Were we muted for that whole thing? Anyway.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I think it's only Tel. But yeah, I guess if Johnson leaves and Solanke comes in, that's another change. So I don't know if that's happened yet or not.
So are we only allowed to make 2 injury changes? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, I think so. It's only 2. No, it's just 2 changes from the squad. You're only allowed to make 2 changes. And then once January comes, you're allowed to make another 3 after the group stage, I believe. Is that right? Only time will tell.
Surely we got to be able to take Bentancur and Kudos out. We're not able to.
After the group stage, I think.
Right. We can make as many changes after the group stage.
I think only 3.
Well, that's not great, is it?
No.
But
we're going to have some tough decisions to make, especially with new signings coming in.
Yeah. I think Gallagher has to be put in after the group stage. Gallagher for Bentancur.
Yeah.
and we got to sign a winger and put him in for Kudos.
That means if once Kudos comes back, he can't play.
But Sousa, I don't think Sousa probably doesn't get put in.
Whole thing's a mess. But then, well, if Decky comes back as well, or Maddison, yeah.
I mean, Maddison will only come back, I think, if we're in the semi-final.
Seems like Maddison's ahead of Decky at the moment. At least he's on the grass.
It's just crazy. It's just nuts, man. Where is Decky? Nobody's seen a picture of him, a video of him, nothing. Like who knows what is going on with Decky?
Well, yeah, look, they've just got.
He was supposed to be coming back in December.
Yeah.
We're now mid-January.
It's a very. They said it. Frank said it's a very rare and complicated injury.
Only at Tottenham, man. Only at Tottenham. Anyway, let's get into the comments, people. We're going to react to some comments regarding Conor Gallagher. So what we got?
So this is your comments yesterday after we spoke about it. Here we go. So Music Mayhem says, since Eze got hijacked, we've now hijacked 3 players. Xavi with Chelsea, Mawani with Juventus, and now Gallagher with Villa.
Yeah, I think that's a bit disingenuous.
We're hijacking the hijack after being We've become the hijackers.
First of all, I don't even think Xavi was a hijacking on Chelsea.
It was
as much as we like to believe it was. I don't even think Mawani was a hijack against Juventus. I just think they couldn't afford him. And Conor Gallagher is a real hijack. That's the only real hijack there, in my opinion.
No. We are hijackers. We're the hijackers, bro. We are the hijackers.
Fuck off, Chelsea.
Exactly. I'm a Edo now. Andre M19 says, as an Atleti fan, he doesn't have the feet to play in our league. We already play with 2 physical wingers, so our midfield needs more precision, and he always looked out of place. Also, we really needed the money because we have 2 important positions to cover, and without this money, it was impossible. So thank you so much. This really helps with our strict fair play rules. So he didn't have the feet to play in La Liga, he's saying. Interesting,
So, I mean,
from an Vesco fan.
He's pretty much saying what a lot of Spurs fans have fears about in terms of Conor Gallagher.
And they maybe did they make him more out of favour to make it easier to sell him, so it's easier for him to leave. He's wanting to go rather than anything else, because they said they needed the money. Sometimes you see that with maybe with other players, but yeah, they said he needed more precision in the middle due to 2 physical wingers, and he didn't have that. That's not great to hear. We also have, we had Kudos, who was a physical winger, but not anymore. Sean Cannon says, Gallagher is a damn good player who will get the rest of our midfield and forwards doing a lot more pressing and getting the teamwork rate up. He isn't a guy who's going to lie down when things get a bit tough. Exactly what we need.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think he's a player that's always going to give his all on the pitch. He always puts himself about, non-stop running, high energy, and we do need that at times. That's definitely true.
Yeah, and I think hopefully we've seen there's been certain moments where players be getting their head down and look a bit disinterested and whatever. Hopefully Gallagher can help galvanise some of these other players.
Do you think he could be a future Tottenham captain?
That's a big call. From Chelsea captain to Tottenham captain, maybe.
William Gallas went from Arsenal captain to Spurs captain.
It's also true. Yeah, I mean, he's got probably the mentality for it, I would say. The known guy says, lol, Gallagher played his best under Poch. This is clearly a... Oh, no, is that the right one?
No, the next one is Just Imagine.
I think you missed one out. Anyway, Ayan Desh says, just imagine... Sorry, what one are you bringing up? The last one.
Go to the one that you were doing before.
Sorry, Gallagher... So he said, yeah, Gallagher played his best under Poch. This is clearly a signing for Magic Pochettino.
That's what I said yesterday.
Laying the groundwork for a Poch return.
I would not be surprised. I really would not be surprised at all
Poch is like, if you wanted me to come back, go get Gallagher. Then you prove it to me. Prove to me you're serious about me coming back.
I'm pretty certain, like, one of the biggest downfalls was the way that Chelsea wanted to sell Gallagher and Poch wanted to keep him. That was one of the big sticking points there, wasn't it?
That was one of the one of the breakdowns, I believe, in communication there. I think he wanted to keep Gallagher. He was obviously very good for him, and they wanted the PSR money.
Yeah, and Poch made him captain at Chelsea, which is crazy. So
then again, they do have Caicedo and Enzo now, so were they right to sell him? Maybe
they had Enzo then, didn't they?
Under Poch, actually, they had both. They had both.
Because Caicedo had that poor season that year. He came in and wasn't great in his first season. Enzo wasn't great either.
Yeah,
and Gallagher was better than probably both of them that season.
It's true.
I don't think with Gallagher being better than both of them that season, it probably said more about how poor they were than how good Gallagher was.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Obviously, he wasn't as good. So, Ayanda says, just imagine if a few years ago I told you we'll have Gallagher, Paulinho, Simmons, Maddison, Decky in our midfield roster. At least on paper, it looks really strong.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
It is a fair point, to be fair.
Yeah, look, if we would have thought a year ago we would have all these players, maybe 2 years ago, I think we would have taken it, to be honest.
You're like, wow, what midfield options. But unfortunately, 2 of them have very long injuries. Simmons still adapting. Paulinho, can't pass. And then Conor, we'll see. So there's a perception reality. They say football's not played on paper, don't they?
Yeah.
Bobble 3633 says Gallagher said in his first interview he's excited to start passing sideways and backwards. And who can blame him? He can't wait. He can't wait to start passing sideways and backwards.
Sideways and backwards everywhere we go.
And Cowboy Curtis says breaking news, after meeting with the Spurs medical team, Gallagher is now injured and expected to miss at least 6 months.
We know it's going to happen. We know it's going to happen, people.
Absolutely, it's a matter of time.
Literally.
El Said 747 says, "You guys going karaoke every transfer window. You hear me? I'm paying."
And there was a few comments underneath that saying, "I'm chipping in. I'm chipping in. I'm chipping in."
Everyone's paying for us to go karaoke. Apparently,
I think we might have to go tonight. To be fair.
Yeah, there will be some breaking news.
Some Here We Go tonight. That was a first, though, doing a Tottenham update in a karaoke.
Yeah, so a new setting. People were saying Sim was definitely belting out, I'm loving Big Ange instead, and I definitely was. I definitely was.
So was I, to be fair.
The Victor 8716 says, with all due respect from an Atleti fan, I have a strong feeling that you have no idea how Gallagher plays. He can't play as an 8, nor as a 6. He can't face his own goal. He was the worst on the ball at Atleti by a mile. In the context of the Premier League, can he play as a 10? Yes, but don't expect him to be creative. He solves one problem that Spurs has, not more, which is injury, which Bentancur injury, and that's it. So he's quite negative.
I think when you're actually looking at what he's done so far in the Premier League, his best moments have come from Crystal Palace and his last season at Chelsea under Pochettino. Under Pochettino with Chelsea, he was a 10, wasn't he?
I think he did play him there, but I don't know if that was his regular position. Let me see what Transfermarkt says was his regular position.
And at Crystal Palace, he was more forward, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was definitely a 10 at Palace. Let's see. So at Chelsea in Poch's last season, well, bit of a split. 21 games attacking mid, 21 games in centre mid, 5 games in defensive mid.
So what are the goal contribution stats to
nine goal contributions in attacking mid and 6 goal contributions in central mid, which made sense. Obviously, he was playing further forward, more likely to get goal contributions. He had a very good end to the season as well. Scored quite a few goals near the end. Got quite a lot of goal contributions.
Yeah,
but wow, so how many goals? So he got 16 goal contributions that season
in all comps. Yeah,
that's good. That is good.
Something that we're desperate for right now.
And then at Atletico, mostly at 12 in his first season, 28 games in centre mid and 19 games in left wing.
That's what I was saying. Like, he played a lot at left midfield.
Still got 10 goal contributions.
It wasn't
in his
like a
first
left
season.
winger. It was like
a left midfielder.
yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So yeah, this season hasn't played on the left, only in centre. So what was his goal contributions on the left last season? On the 2 goals, 2 assists, and then 2 goals, 4 assists.
How many of them were actual starts though?
Starts
At left midfield.
starting. I don't know.
If you click LM,
Oh yeah, you can see. 11
starts.
11 starts, 1 assist and 1 goal. And also you can see he was taken off very, very early in a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want him playing left mid for us. That's for
He
sure.
won't be. There's no chance he even plays 1 minute. Well, I say that Bergval's
Yeah.
been playing at left wing, so to be honest, probably shouldn't count it out under Thomas Frank. If Poch does come in next season, will he utilise him as a 10?
No, I don't think so. It seems split how we used him. It's half attacking and half not. And with the attacking midfielders he's got, it'd be stupid to play him there.
Yeah.
And I think you can only unlock the best of this team playing a player like Gallagher a bit deeper. I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't think he's ever going to be a 10 that we want.
I think
maybe for certain games,
yeah.
but I don't think as a regular 10.
Any more comments?
That's it.
All right, so those are the comments. We have just had an update from Miguel Delaney saying that Tottenham have renewed their interest in Magnus Akalush.
All right.
So that should be interesting. I mean, I'd love Magnus Akalush. I think he's such a good player to watch, and comes in and solves an issue.
Yeah, I think so. So look, similar to Gallagher, is he the perfect profile we want? Maybe no, but
I think from now to the end of the season he could be.
yeah, but it's never really good to plan just for 6 months. But I would take Akalush because he's got such high ability. We don't know what's going on with Maddison and Decky anyway. So at the end of the day, you get an Akalush, and then it's up to Maddison and Decky to fight back their way in the team. That's
Exactly, yeah.
So that's how you got to see it. Damasio saying Leipzig have joined the race for Radu Dragushin.
RB Leipzig. Jan Diamande, anyone?
Yeah, swap deal. Swap deal for Dragushin.
How much would it cost? If they want, let's say, 80 million for Diamande, what? 60 million plus Dragushin?
60 million plus Dragushin, maybe. Yeah, something like that. That'd be nice. I'll do that. Why not?
Yeah, it's true. As someone says, Jack James in the comments says Magnus would excite fans. He's such a bums off seat player, man. Like, he destroyed us in that game in Monaco earlier on in the season.
He really did. Yeah, it was embarrassing at times. Every time he got the ball, we all just opened up.
He's got such like twinkle toes. His feet just move so quickly. So creative, man.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great signing. I think, yeah, right now, again, we need a right winger, and Akalush would be a brilliant option if we can get him in.
Would that kind of scream ambition for you?
I think it's a pretty ambitious signing. He's a good player.
Yeah. Not that many goal contributions this season. In the French league, he's got 3 goals and 2 assists in 16 games. I think it's 5 in 16 games. It's 15 starting 11.
I guess he's not the best player in the world. But we're not getting better than Akalush. I guess, is it ambitious? I don't know. Depends how you define it. Is it a signing that's... Is it a signing that's... again, is he getting to the teams above us? Maybe not. But he's a very good player. And he's still young.
I think with Akalush, like, more teams above us would have him in the squad over a Conor Gallagher. I think he's got the ability where he maybe doesn't start for teams above us, but definitely gets minutes, if you know what I mean.
I hear that. But I think I'd be very excited if we got him in.
Yeah.
I'd be very excited.
All right, is that it?
That is it, I think.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We got 1,300 people in the live chat, so everyone smash that like button, and if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button on your way out. We will be back tomorrow, and you never know, maybe even later tonight, with some more Spurs transfer news and stories. Exactly. We're just off to karaoke now, so
exactly.
We'll see you all a bit later. Like, subscribe, and comment, and as always, come on, you Spurs.